right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
Tonight, violence in St. Louis goes viral.
You're not American, get off my property!
Millions of views on TikTok of a woman allegedly harassing a Latino family over the course of a year.
She said that she was gonna kill my family and stab him.
Plus, a local school district discussing a 4-day school week. We'll tell you what they decided.
But first tonight, a weather alert for Wednesday afternoon as widespread rain and thunder return for the evening rush hour. How much rain will fall and the wicked wind gusts that could cause problems after the rain ends.
Tomorrow, you'll want to be weather aware. Good evening. Thank you for being with us. I'm Ann Allred.
And I'm Mike Bush. You shouldn't have many issues in the morning, but later in the day could be a different story. Weather First Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is tracking the timing of those storms.
You know, it's going to be a big shield of rain that pushes back into St. Louis tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow evening. And yes, it is going to cause some problems for us as we head through the evening rush hour tomorrow and into tomorrow night with some locally heavy rainfall. Right now, the rain still over our southern counties, mostly on the light side, continues to percolate here from about Salem, Missouri, over towards Fredericktown, over to Perryville, and then south of Mount Vernon. That area is staying to our south all night long, but you already see the action coming together across parts of Texas, starting to strengthen and expand. And overnight tonight, all of this moisture starts working its way to the north and east. So during the day tomorrow, we get a couple of good waves of rain in during the afternoon into the evening. Then as that system pulls away, we bring in colder air, but we also bring in really strong winds heading into later Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So the widespread rain will be arriving later on Wednesday. Downpours and some thunder possible. We do have a flood watch over our far southern counties, and the gusty winds will develop. By Thursday morning, we're talking 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts. We'll need to be prepared for that. See you in a few minutes. We'll time it out in your neighborhood.
Remember, you can get the Weather First forecast anytime on your phone. Just text the word weather to 314-425-5355.
Developing tonight, St. Louis County Police investigating a deadly shooting in Bellefontaine Neighbors. A man was found shot to death inside a home on Surrey Lane. That's off Bellefontaine and Chambers Roads. No word on any suspects. Investigators are asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS.
Less than 90 minutes ago, St. Louis police were called to investigate a deadly shooting in North City. A 20-year-old man was shot near Riverview and Newby. That is not far from the Halls Ferry Circle. No word on a suspect.
New tonight, a St. Louis family says a stranger was caught on their security camera trying to burst through their front door. That's after they say the woman broke into their basement. Just hours ago, a relative told 5 on Your Side the harassment has been going on for more than a year.
Our Robert Townsend is live outside police headquarters downtown with more on this family's what they're calling a nightmare, Robert.
And the family is still living in fear because they say that woman who is giving them this nightmare is still out there. Take a look.
It was January 7th of 2022.
That's when Fatima Suarez says a complete stranger started terrorizing her family. Suarez's parents and 2 sisters live in South St. Louis.
My dad said that my little sister that was 4 years old at that time, that she yelled at him like, there's a lady in the backyard.
Suarez says the lady broke the glass door on her parents' basement door and then got inside their home.
Then he started hearing like the windows breaking and the dryer breaking.
She says the woman then banged on her family's dryer with a hammer.
He opened the door and she was starting to walk upstairs with the hammer, so he quickly locked the door. And then that's when she proceeded to the front door.
The family's Ring doorbell caught the woman on video. Fatima says the lurking intruder quickly pulled the hammer out of her purse, repeatedly banged on her mom and dad's front door, and shouted racially charged and offensive remarks at them.
You don't belong on American property, get out!
The family identifies as Mexican descent.
We don't know her from anywhere. She just randomly just started going to the house.
Why?
I feel like it's like a hate crime.
She says the same stranger has harassed her family at their home 5 times, most recently last Wednesday.
One time we approached her and she said that she was gonna kill my family. The police just keeps her for like 72 hours the most and then let her go.
Police confirm they are aware of the incidents. They say the investigations are ongoing and they are unable to comment any further. Meantime, Allison Hawk, a spokesperson for the St. Louis Circuit Attorney's Office, says last January, police did not classify the first incident as a serious, persistent offender. Hawk says officers should have because the suspect was armed with a hammer. More than a year later, police have applied for warrants and prosecutors have elevated the case. What's your biggest fear?
Her coming back.
And Suarez also tells me right now her relatives are still afraid to leave their home. Live downtown, Robert Townsend, 5 on your side.
Tonight, the state of Missouri carried out the death sentence for Leonard Taylor. He died by lethal injection at the State Correctional Center in Bonne Terre, Missouri, less than 4 hours ago. Taylor was convicted of the murders of his girlfriend Angela Rowe and her 3 young children, 10-year-old Alexis Conley, 6-year-old Akrea Conley, and 5-year-old Tyrese Conley. All 4 were found shot to death inside their Jennings home in 2004. New tonight, students in the Fox C6 school district will not be making the change to 4-day school weeks. That update coming out of a packed school board meeting tonight.
And 5 on your side's Brent Solomon was the only reporter there. He's live now with why that proposal is off the table. Brent.
Mike, it all boils down to cash and what a difference a few weeks can make. We were the first to tell you last month when the school district was facing a major budget shortfall. Since that time, more money has come in from the state, more money than the district was expecting. Take a look at your screen right now. I want to show you the packed house at tonight's school board meeting. There was even applause when the superintendent announced he's no longer considering that 4-day school week plan for the Fox C6 school district. The idea was to save costs. The district knew it had $2 million coming in from the state, but just recently that contribution jumped to $7 million. And that's enough money to take the 4-day school week proposal off the table. But if the district doesn't get a continued influx of revenue, the proposal could come back.
I don't think it should ever be on the table. It is difficult to teach children. We always see a difference when we have a long weekend. It's a little harder for them to settle back into school. And in the end, we are all working very hard just to do what is best for our kids. We want them to succeed.
So now the superintendent is pitching some additional revenue generating ideas, including using school facilities for community events, renting them out, advertising at sporting events, and possibly raising taxes. We're live in Arnold tonight. Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
Well, tonight marks 15 years since the deadly shooting at Kirkwood City Hall. A small group gathered outside City Hall for a vigil tonight. They placed white roses at the flagpole to remember the 6 victims. Craig Brown's mother was inside when the gunfire broke out.
I was one of the fortunate ones that got a phone call and got to see her again, and I show up every year that I can to support those that can't show up.
Charles Cookie Thornton opened fire during a city council meeting, shooting police officers, council members, and the mayor back on February 7th, 2008. Thornton was shot and killed during a shootout with officers.
Tonight, the Illinois State Fire Marshal is investigating the cause of a deadly house fire in Cahokia Heights. 2 men died. A 3rd person was critically injured in this morning's fire on 45th Street. Firefighters say clutter inside and outside the house made it difficult for them to get inside. There were also several hazards inside the home, including paint and bullets.
Well, the polls in St. Charles closed just 3 hours ago, and tonight we have the results from the mayoral primary. 3 candidates on the ballot. Incumbent Dan Borgmeyer and Tom Besselman were the top 2 vote getters, and will move on to the April general election.
The State of the Union is strong.
Tonight, that's the message President Joe Biden has for the American people. Within the hour, he wrapped up his State of the Union address before a joint session of Congress. The president highlighted his accomplishments and laid out his vision for the future.
While he called for bipartisanship, some of his comments garnered a loud reaction from some Republican lawmakers. Our political editor, Mark Maxwell, is here now with highlights from the president's address. Mark?
Mike and Ann, President Biden called on Congress to ban assault weapons and pass immigration reform to secure the southern border. He also targeted some expenses and fees you might face at the airport or when canceling a cable or cell phone contract, and called on Congress to crack down on identity theft. He also pivoted and struck a somber tone when addressing the parents of Tyree Nichols, who died at the hands of police. Then perhaps the most striking political moment of the night, Biden engaged Republican jeers on proposed cuts to Social Security and Medicare. When they booed him for attacking their proposed cuts, he cornered them on national TV. Watch.
Some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority. Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. But it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. Look, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be started.
Biden also showed some sensitivity to the sting of inflation, but he blamed that on gas and oil companies. Again, Republicans laughed when he suggested the country might wean itself off fossil fuels in the next decade.
We're still going to need oil and gas for a while. But guess what? No, we do. Have you noticed Big Oil just reported its profits, record profits? Last year they made $200 billion in the midst of a global energy crisis. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells, all the oil refineries anyway, so why should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade, and that's going to exceed and beyond that. We're going to need it.
New Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders just delivering the Republican response moments ago. She hammered Democrats for what she called overreaching power and claimed President Biden is unfit to lead the country.
A budding business in the Show Me State.
All in all, it was very happy customers and yet an exciting time.
Recreational marijuana in Missouri already generating millions of dollars. The reason one city isn't cashing in. Tonight, signs of a crack in eggflation. What this means for your next trip to the grocery store.
The rain is holding to our south right now. When this widespread shield of rain returns, how strong the winds become, plus the chance of a little wintry mix to finish off the week.
A FedEx driver is dead after an Amtrak train collided with a truck near Kansas City. The Missouri State Highway Patrol says 35 passengers were on board at the time. No one on board was hurt. They were on the Lincoln Service Missouri River Runner, which runs through St. Louis.
Tonight, a state of emergency in Turkey and Syria following a massive 7.8 magnitude earthquake and powerful aftershock. Rescue crews are digging through the rubble of collapsed buildings looking for any signs of life, and amazingly, they're finding it. More than 7,700 people have died. That number is expected to go up. Scott Air Force Base is serving as a command center for the U.S. response to Turkey and Syria. That's the headquarters of the U.S. Transportation Command. Here's video of the crews leaving Dover Air Force Base in Maryland today. The U.S. Air Force has sent 161 members, 12 K-9s, and specialized equipment to help in the search and rescue efforts. The teams are made up of structural engineers, doctors, and search specialists.
Marijuana dispensaries across Missouri raked in roughly $12.7 million this weekend between medical and recreational sales.
But not every city is on board yet. Our Laura Barczewski explains the hesitation in Des Peres. Laura?
Mike and Ann, the Des Peres city administrator tells me they're holding off allowing recreational marijuana permits for 90 days, saying they need more time to look at all of their options, while many cities around them are already letting the cash roll in.
In the first weekend alone, recreational marijuana sales totaled more than $8.5 million, and medical sales brought in another $4 million, according to data from the Missouri Department of Health.
on the first week of Illinois sales, that totaled 11 million. We already surpassed that in the first 3 days. So really off to a strong start.
Many dispensaries had to adjust their plans when sales were allowed to start 3 days early.
We certainly saw a lot of fresh faces, roughly 3 to 4 times the amount of customers that we would normally see.
But it was a welcome surprise they were ready for.
Missouri was positioned as a very successful market of both strong inventory, very competitive prices, certainly compared to our neighbor state in Illinois.
The Missouri Cannabis Trade Association says right now the state is the only one raking in a 6% sales tax. That money is going towards clearing criminal marijuana charges.
We're really proud that the 6% sales tax you pay when you go into a dispensary goes to clear that off of records. Also, it'll go towards substance abuse programs and then veterans health care.
The cities will also have their turn. Many of them have already sent a 3% sales tax proposal to the ballots in April. But in the city of Des Peres, they're not even sure they want recreational marijuana.
We are looking at, the law allows us to prohibit them in Des Peres. That's one of the things that's on the table. Should we regulate it or should we prohibit it? And if we do, then it takes an election in November of 2024.
Des Peres City Administrator Douglas Harms says the one approved medical dispensary has not opened its doors yet, and there is a lot for the city to consider, including ordinances and land use.
Traffic and parking were big concerns for the medicinal marijuana facility from the adjoining businesses and from the adjoining residential neighborhoods. The other issue, frankly, is it's a cash business. So from the police department's perspective, what does that mean?
There are still a lot of unknowns in Des Peres, but the city administrator says after this 90-day moratorium, they'll likely have a better understanding of what the city wants to do.
Promising news tonight for families struggling to make ends meet, especially when it comes to feeding their families. Wholesale egg prices have collapsed. Analysts say this means you could be paying less at the grocery store soon. The price of a dozen large eggs more than doubled in price last year. A bird flu outbreak that killed millions of chickens was the biggest culprit. Today is the Day of Giving, sponsored by the Humane Society of Missouri. You can make a difference in a shelter pet's life by making a donation online at hsmo.org/dog. Every bit will make a difference. You can also text the word dog to 314-425-5355 to make a donation.
Let's get back to Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell, who is tracking rain.
Yeah, it's dry out there in St. Louis right now, farther to the south. From Farmington back to Viburnum over to Salem, it's been a damp evening with off and on showers. This has been the focal point here throughout the day today as we shifted the rain out of St. Louis pretty early on in the day, and then it's settled down here across our southern counties. This is also where the potential for the heaviest rain will be over the next 24 to 36 hours. And quite frankly, that's why we have that flood watch in effect for those areas down to our south. 3 counties. 44 degrees right now, dew point's 31. We were at 59 for the high today. 44 becomes the new low temperature. We'll probably drop another degree or two before midnight, and that will end up going in the record books. So the showers are staying south of St. Louis tonight. There is no doubt about that. Temperature right now, 44 in St. Louis. Columbia's 39, Kirksville's 32. We look down to the south and west. Moisture continues to gather here. This system has some energy to work with. It's certainly grabbing the moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. And so you're going to see some pretty decent rains working up and along Interstate 44 here, heading into tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, as this storm system actually strengthens once the energy back in New Mexico swings over and interacts with it. This is what it's going to look like as we head into tomorrow. During the afternoon hours, in through tomorrow evening, wave after wave of heavier showers and even some rumbles of thunder in there will be lifting through and then pulling out. So by midday Thursday, we're looking at very gusty winds across the area. There's your flood watch. It's in effect for Salem, Viburnum, Annapolis, Centerville, Lesterville, heading over towards Fredericktown. That's where we'll see upwards of 1.5 inches to perhaps 2 inches of rainfall. Amounts back off just a little bit as you head farther to the north and west of St. Louis. So our Weather First Futurecast kind of a little tighter in here, giving you another time frame. Most of tomorrow morning, we're quiet. We just have the clouds in St. Louis, still some rain down to the south, but we'll get through the morning rush hour without wet conditions in St. Louis. For the afternoon rush hour, that's going to change. Here comes the area of potentially some moderate to at times some heavier rain sliding in and across St. Louis through the entire evening rush hour. This could be some thunderstorm action with some gusty winds southeast of St. Louis. And then in general, the winds are going to get gusty as the system starts to pull away. So overnight, tomorrow night into Thursday morning, winds gusting around or above 40 miles per hour by daybreak on Thursday. That's definitely a possibility, if not a reality. Most of the rain will be gone at that point, and the colder air lags a bit, so it doesn't get in until overnight Thursday night into Friday. Here's the thing, though. Even though more energy is coming overhead Friday and it's going to try to squeeze that sponge, whatever moisture is left, try to squeeze it out in the form of a snowflake or a couple of raindrops. The moisture is limited and temperatures should be at or above freezing. Shouldn't be a big deal. Weekend is on the dry side.
All right, Scott, thanks. Frank is here with sports.
Well, Mike, if SLU would have lost this game tonight, I would have gotten less sleep than Travis Ford. We have SLU highlights, Mizzou highlights, and we have Nolan Arenado. Stay with us, please.
The Sports Desk is brought to you by Jim Butler Chevrolet, the Midwest's #1 Chevy dealer, 10 years running.
If you're in college, you try to build a resume to get a job. If you're a college basketball coach, you try to build a resume to make the NCAA tourney. Let's see what Dennis Gates has done. Beat great teams and headed for 20 wins in a loaded conference. Tonight, Mizzou had to hold serve against South Carolina. This is called mouse in the house, when a little guy is guarding a big guy, not stopping 250-pound Kobe Brown. This play sums up Mizzou basketball, sharing the ball and a three for Demoy Hodge. Seconds later, that suffocating pressure, Sean East will get the steal and the jump shot. Love Kobe on the block. What can you do with that? Just watch and learn. He had 19 points tonight. And here could be the biggest bucket of the game, more sharing of the ball. Nick Honor the three, and Mizzou wins it 83-74. So the Billikens have 4 weeks till Selection Sunday. If they could beat Rhode Island tonight, it would put them at 16-8 and 8-3 in the conference. The tourney is still a long shot, but just keep winning and take your best shot. And this guy is your best shot. Gibson Jimerson, 2018 SLU. Wild play coming up. Yori Collins loses the ball. Francis Okoro retrieves it. Larry Hughes, and back to the man, Jimerson. This is what he does to opposing coaches. He had 4 3-pointers in the first half, 14 points, and here's another. Second half, here comes St. Mary's to East St. Louis. Yori Collins to TJ Hargrove. Not once, but here's another, and that ties the Atlantic 10 all-time assist record. He later broke it at 783. Rhode Island tied the game at 71, but Jimerson, his 6th three of the night. SLU holds on, 76-71. So, the World Baseball Classic is going to be fascinating for Cardinal fans. 12 players from the organization will be playing for 7 different countries, including the Italian stallion, Andre Palante, playing for that baseball juggernaut, Italy. I'm being sarcastic, folks. The big 3 for the Cardinals, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, and Adam Wainwright, are pumped up about playing for Team USA. This will be Waino's first, and Goldie and Arenado played on the 2017 team that won it all. Arenado recorded the final out in an 8-0 victory over Puerto Rico in that big title game. Some people might say, been there, done that. Not Nolan.
That was my goal after the 2017 one is, hopefully I'm still playing well enough to where I can make this team again. That was always a goal of mine.
I remember watching them win the gold medal a few years ago, man. I was watching every pitch. I couldn't wait to watch those games. It was really fun. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Chaminade at SLU tonight, big MCC matchup. Here's Landon Pace with the rebound right here coming up. This is Orlando's son, by the way. He's got the athleticism. Later, it's going to be B.J. Ward with the hook shot off the glass for Chaminade right there. Pretty. And later, it's Nalavan Daniels hitting the 3. Chaminade wins it 56-52 to Mascoutah. Indians hosting Edwardsville. And it's Tiger alum and Buffalo Bills defensive end A.J. Epinesa in the house to watch his brother. He'll like this 3 for Isaiah Kloster. Great passing from Mascoutah. Quincy Hall Jr. will get the finish. And this Malik Allen for Edwardsville, he is a good one. and they win it 51-48. And that will do it in sports.
All right, Frank, thanks.
Panera is cooking up a whole new baguette, and this one's making quite the fashion statement.
A record amount of Americans are expected to bet money on the Super Bowl. According to the American Gaming Association, more than 50 million adults will wager around $16 billion on the big game. That's more than double last year.
Move over Gucci and Louis Vuitton. Panera is out with its own handbag.
What?
This is called the Baguette because it can carry one of Panera's new toasted baguette sandwiches. The pea green purse has an embossed texture and gold hardware. It costs less than a Gucci and a Louis Vuitton. It's $40.
That carries the whole
Scott,
sandwich.
You gonna get one of those?
Well, you know, if you put a sandwich in it.
I thought the same thing. As long as it comes with bread, I can stick some bread in there. I'm good.
That's it. You know, we're all about food. Let's show you what's going on here tomorrow. It will be a weather alert day for tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. Early on Thursday, we'll get the heavier rain pushing in. It'll be widespread here tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. And then the winds really kick up getting into early on Thursday. So there are some weather concerns. 1 to 2 inches of rain probably for most of us. Heaviest amounts ought to be to the south and southeast of St. Louis. Flood watch, Madison, Iron, and Reynolds counties.
And I'll bet you don't have a purse that color.
I do not. Pea green, no.
There you have it. 5 on your side at 10. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon is next.